This is Mr. Stephen Thomas. Stephen Thomas has decades of real estate experience. He also has a degree in quantitative economics and decision science from the University of California, San Diego. He started Reports on Housing in 2004, and it's been utilized and quoted in the Orange County Register, Los Angeles Times, San Diego Tribune, Wall Street Journal, Fortune, USA Today, and many others that I could read off for another 15 minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll go ahead and share away. So here we go. Let's get right into it. United States economic outlook. There was before the coronavirus, everything looked spectacular. There's after the disease, everything looked dismal, right? And so as a result of that, we went into recession. Things are getting a lot better, but there's a recession. The last 3 weeks of March threw us into a recessionary quarter. It was negative month over month. Then we had the second quarter, which was disastrous. It was the worst quarter of all time in the United States history. And now we've had, because it was the worst thing and we had a lot of V-shaped recoveries, we had the best expansionary quarter in quarter three. We're still down by about 5% GDP for the overall year. So you need to understand that when you're factoring in things. So, but I don't like to call it a recession. I actually like to call it a pandemia. We're no longer in a recession. We were in a pandemia. It's a forced stoppage of the economy, brought the economy down. It was not in a single industry. That's why it's different. That's why I called it a pandemia. We've never been here before. That's why we've seen a lot of recovery in a lot of areas. But when we have all this negativity, even when we had COVID prior to the lockdowns, we had this problem, and everybody wanted to pull their money out of equities. And around the world, they started dumping their money in the safest asset in the world. And to everybody, that is not gold. That was your answer. It is bonds. It's long-term United States Treasury bonds, 10-year Treasuries, 30-year Treasuries. Those we bottomed out. We went below 1 for the first time ever. These bonds aren't even paying that much, but it's safe. That's why people are there. It's starting to rise again right now, and that's because of the GDP numbers, but that goes on economic news. As soon as we get some negative news in virus numbers, it will start to come back down. I anticipate this is going to go up. Why do I care so much about the 10-year Treasury? Because this is our 30-year mortgage. It follows the 10-year Treasury. We need to follow the United States Treasury. Stop following the Federal Reserve. This tells us what happens to interest rates. So, and this will rise down the road with vaccines that come on, and they come more online with everybody else. But as soon as we get FDA approval of that, as soon as we get more relief packages, and when we get stimulus packages down the road, I anticipate the 10-year Treasury to continue to go above 1. Mortgage interest rates, as a result of this going down, means that we're in all-time lows. We've never been below 1, that we saw interest rates at all-time lows. This is actually, as of a week ago, I have the updated slide later on in this presentation, forgot to do this one. We're at 2.81% this morning. This comes out every Thursday, this national survey by Freddie Mac. Last week was the lowest of all time at 2.8. 2 weeks ago, it was the lowest at 2.81. So we're hitting all-time records. This week we're at 2.81, so we're dancing right around that all-time record. It basically we had 11 record lows this year so far, and it's all been since March. Record low interest rates. And the Federal Reserve has pumped money. They're buying our mortgages that we put together for our buyers. They're buying commercial paper. They brought the Fed fund rate to 0. This is credit card debt and automobile loans. It is not 30-year mortgages. So stop thinking every time the Fed says something about they're reducing rates or increasing rates, it doesn't have to do with our 30-year mortgage. Alphabet Super Credit Facilities, they've done that. They've thrown the kitchen sink and they said, hey, DC, we need relief packages. And they started relief packages in March. They gave us $8.3 billion, March 6th, March 18th, $192 billion. That was the second package. Relief package 3, the CARES Act, $2.2 trillion. Then package 3.5, what happened? They ran out of money for small business loans. So they had to add an additional one for $310 billion. Then relief package number 4. Wait a minute, where's relief package number 4? What's going on? I thought we were going to get a relief package number 4. What's going on here is that House Representatives passed something in May. All the way in July, the Senate does something. They couldn't kumbaya come together. Presidential administration did executive orders, and they added 5 weeks to unemployment insurance. And then that's gone. We need that relief package. When are we going to get it? It's a political year. Come on, we're not going to take care of this thing until after we vote next Tuesday. And I've been saying this for months. We're not going to see this relief package. They can go ahead and pretend, and it does different things to Wall Street and the 10-year Treasury. But you know what? And at the end of the day, we're not going to get anything until after next week. So I'm still concerned about unemployment because these people are made whole. And what the whole idea of a relief package is to get us to, it's a bridge to get us to where the pandemic is to where we're on the other side of this. That's when we have a vaccine. It's not blue or red or anything. It's just because we have this virus that is totally butchering the economy. Even if we didn't have shutdown measures, then it would be even worse. So there are unemployment is a factor that we need to look at. So they need to be made whole. But and we're worried about evictions. However, the CDC stepped in because they were given that right, and they said you can't evict anybody if it has to do with COVID through December 31st of this year. And then Sacramento said, because they said it first, they actually said through January 31st. You can't evict anybody until February 1st. And you can't even evict them on February 1st if they pay 25% by February 1st, so through January 31st. They have to pay 25% of everything from August through January, and then you still can't evict them. So I'm worried about landlords. Although right now, this is from the National Multi-Family Housing Council, and you know what? There are over 11 million apartment units that they talk about how when they get paid. It turns out that 20% of all renters don't pay their mortgage on or their rent on time, even in last year and this year. It's always they don't pay like 20% don't pay. But then by the time we get to the end of the month, you can see in September we had 92.2% that paid versus 93.7% last year through September. So you can see it is down a little bit, but it didn't fall off a cliff. By and large, most everybody's paying their rent. Through October 20th, where 90.6% have paid their rent versus 90.1% at the same time last month. And then if you look at last year in October, 92.4% paid. So yes, it is lower. We'll see where it is by the end of the month. But you see, it's still not falling off a cliff. So it's not as bad as what we may have anticipated. Initial unemployment claims, they remain sticky high. And the reason for that, and they're still high, we have new initial unemployment claims because these people go on unemployment, go back off of it, go back on it. And that's going to happen in California when they shut down Orange County, go back to Burgundy like they did in Riverside. All these people that are working in different establishments aren't going to be able to have people in their establishments anymore. They're going to have to furlough more workers. So that's why initial unemployment claims will climb. I anticipate in the winter that this will climb above 1 million again. And the Great Recession peak was 665,000. So you could see, but it was over a long period of time. This looks like it's over a long period of time, but this is short compared to the Great Recession where we kept on slowly but surely losing people. And then if you look at this, unemployment rate is at 7.9%. It's going down, and it's going down fast. And this is through September. We'll get October reading in a couple weeks, but unemployment comparison, we were only above 9% for 4 months during the pandemic. In the Great Recession, we were above a 9% unemployment rate for 30 months. You reading that in that many places? No, because it's too positive. Sorry. So monthly employment, we were at 159 million people that were employed. It dropped down to 133.4 million, and now we're plateauing right under 148 million. We can't add that many more until after we get to the other side of this thing and we have a vaccine that is deployed. And I'm talking about not initial approval of vaccine. I'm talking about getting this vaccine out to you and me, your brother, your sister, your aunt, everybody. So that's down the road. We're probably looking at mid-2021. Unemployment rate, it affects the young. And tell me who this sounds like. Unemployment rate affects the young. It affects the less educated. It affects the people with the lower incomes. Doesn't that sound like renters? That's who it is unemployment is affecting the most, renters. So, and forbearance is, and the reason why I say that is because everybody talks about how, oh boy, we're going to really it's going to hit the fan for residential resale. And that's just not true, because here's forbearance. Do you know what the numbers look like? This comes out every Monday. We're at 5.92%. It dropped to 5.9% on Monday. And that is number of people that are in forbearance. It's at 3 million people across the United States. Do you know where it was in June? 4.3 million in June. So we've already stripped away 1.3 million people out of forbearance. And there's still a lot of people in forbearance. You know, there's a lot of people in forbearance that are just skipping their mortgage right now and putting it in the bank, and then they just because they can, and then they're going to stick that on the end and they're going to defer it. Well, they're going to have a hard time refinancing or anything like that. And when they go to refinance, they're being told you need to pay back your forbearance completely in whole in order for you to refi. So people are actually doing it because they have the money for it. But there's also 1 million people that are not in forbearance that are distressed. Prior to this pandemic, we were hitting about 500,000 every month. So this is now double that. So you could say that really we have 3 million plus another million that are not in forbearance, about 4 million across the United States that are having issues. And we'll get into still why there won't be a wave. How hard will GDP be hit? About 5%, 4% according to this study, 5% according to CAR, and 6% according to NAR. I'm with this study. I think it's about 4% down for the year, which is still negative. Purchase application index. This is done by the Mortgage Bankers Association. They take a look at all the people that are applying for purchase loans. That's all we care about. And here it is. It's up 24% year over year. That's this week. This comes out every Wednesday, and 23 weeks of year over year growth, 17 weeks of double digit year over year growth. That is why we are having a gangbuster second half of this year. And I'm just here to show you this, and this thing is getting even better. This is comparing 2006 to 2020 and where we were in the middle of our pandemic. And we had 42% more equity than the second quarter of 2006. And yet we only have 12% more debt. So which means that we have a lot more equity. And matter of fact, mortgage debt is not even increasing that much, and equity is increasing faster. So this discrepancy is getting bigger. We have a very healthy housing stock. So when is America going to be back? What do we look for? These are the things I highlighted, the things I'm still concerned about. COVID-19, I'm sorry. I just, as an economist, I can't let it go because I need to see something better with the numbers as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Unemployment, definitely, there are some areas that need to be fixed. Core retail sales, I'm not worried about. Manufacturing, not worried about. New home sales, not worried about. Consumption, not worried about. Hard hit industries, still worried about them. These are hotels, these are airlines, these are airports, arenas, all that stuff. COVID-19 vaccine, that's what's going to be the trick for this thing. However, we can't put all of our hopes in this. And that's the more I read about it, I know that it's going to take a while to get this thing going. And if you try to find the vaccine timelines, they're all over the board, which means nobody really knows how this is all going to play out. We're going to know once we know. And it's going to be sometime in 2021. That we're all inoculated and things could go back to normal. And I'm a soccer coach, can't wait to do soccer games again instead of these social distance practices. So retail sales, as you can see, off the charts, looks absolutely outstanding. Go try to find a bike right now, impossible. It's kind of like finding toilet paper. It's also, I want to get dumbbells. We have a whole bunch. I needed more because I've been lifting during this time period. And guess what? I can't find a dumbbell for the life of me. Yeah, somebody told me that we had some at Dick's. I got some, as many as I could, and they sold out in an hour. So how about this one? New home sales is the highest rate since 2006. It went above 1 million, seasonally adjusted annual sales rate above 1 million for the first time since 2006. That's good news. How about this? Existing home sales, the annual rate, this is the seasonally adjusted, we're up 21% year over year. Again, it is off the charts. So resales doing great, new homes doing great. The Orange County market is hot. There's every which way to call it hot. Hot as the sun, spicy hot, hot as lava, hot as a fire ring, just powerful market. It's a supply, very, very low active inventory, the homes to show buyers, and very, very high demand. Orange County housing supply looks like this. Inventory's right here. If I draw a line across, there aren't too many times where we've had less homes than where we are right now today in October. It's the lowest level in mid-October since tracking began in 2004. And if I show you where we're at today, look at this, October 15th, we're at 4,173. That was up 20 homes in 2 weeks. So it was kind of like flatlined for a 2-week period. Last year, we were at 6,412. There's 54% more homes on the market. 2007, 18,000 homes on the market. 18,000. I just put that in there so you can explain why we did not get this great recession. You need a lot more supply in order for it to favor buyers. It's just we don't have the supply. Instead, we have none. We just dropped below 4,000 again. Yippee! Since the beginning of this year, we have 3,948 homes in Orange County. You guys are the first ones hearing this. It dropped down below 4,000 this morning. And it's actually a 5% drop since 2 weeks ago. 5% drop. That's a big drop in demand and in inventory. That means there's a lot fewer homes out there. And the active listing inventory, this is where we normally peak. The end of July, start of August. When do we peak this year? Middle of May. So that just shows you kind of what's been going on. Where are we going for the rest of the year? We're going to go down further in the inventory. I just showed you that we're going down further. And then what happens after the second week of November, people are going to say, yeah, time to enjoy Thanksgiving, and fewer homeowners are going to come on the market. And we're going to get all the people that have been on the market for a long time that are overpriced, they're going to pull their homes off the market for the holidays. Happens every single year. This will be no exception. So then we're going to drill down further to stupid levels. When I say stupid levels, it's an all-time record level that we're going to hit. COVID-19, is it still suppressing supply? It was. For some reason, we had a lot more buyer demand than people wanting buyers to come through their houses. So people didn't want the Rona in their houses, but they certainly wanted to go look at houses. So there was this weird phenomenon going on where we had a lack of homes coming on the market, but demand was soaring. But we look at 2020 versus 2019, March, the number of homes that came on the market pounded for sale signs into the ground. 25% fewer homes came on the market in March, 50% in April. 26% fewer in May, June, 5% less. Did you know that in July, we had 4% more homes coming on the market than last year? Did you also know in August, we had 14% more homes come on the market than last year? How about this one? Did you know that in September, we placed 25% more homes on the market than last year? What? What's going on is the market saying, come on the market right now. Please place your home on the market because the water is so good. And everybody knows, even kids in elementary school know that the economy is soaring and it has everything to do with interest rates. And everybody knows that it's the best sector of the economy right now. So COVID-19 is no longer suppressing the supply, period. Hey, Laura, can you get me a beer? Yeah, I'd like a beer, please. Anyways, it's created a whole number of missing for sale signs year to date. There are a lot of missing for sale signs. Orange County is actually down 8%. We are missing 2,680 for sale signs for the year compared to 2019. We're off our normal average for the year. Usually it's within 4%, and this is way down from last year, which was down from the prior year. So it's kind of down. So if you look, every county is suffering from fewer homes on the market. LA, not as much. LA has its own different story. They have a lot more people leaving. We all in Southern California have people leaving, but we also have a lot of people coming. LA, not as much. So just know that. And look at San Bernardino, 2,626 homes on the market versus 6,335 last year. Oh my gosh. Potential buyer, we need to slap this puppy on a roll of toilet paper and hand this to every buyer that wants to see houses. Potential buyer, hi, I'm looking to buy a house. How's the market? Me, remember back in May when you were looking for toilet paper? Yeah, just like that. We need for people to understand that that's what the market's like. So I think that this makes sense to give them a roll of Charmin paper. So it really puts it into their tangible. They could see it, they could touch it. They know how hot the market is. Orange County housing demand, it is powerful. COVID-19 is not suppressing demand, hasn't since May. Lemonade stand, we can sell our lemonade. We can sell our houses again. We figured things out. We now social distance, we put on masks, we do all the things that need to be done in order to close escrow. What happened in April was all of a sudden the entire world and the United States were all shocked. We were going, uh-oh, now what do we do? I don't know if we're gonna be able to make another dime for the rest of our lives. And then we all went and got toilet paper. That's what happened in April. Then by the time we got to May, we said, we know what we're doing. slap some contracts together, put them on the door, get these signed, put on this is what our protocols are going to be, and we figured out how to do it, and now we're used to it, right? So even though we're getting this wave that is even higher than the last wave, and we're going to see a lot of numbers of COVID cases, we still know how to operate in this. Mortgage interest rates is fueling everything right now. Record low rates is the fuel that is propelling our market forward. Just a siege of people wanting to see these houses when they come on the market. I had an agent, actually, she was unlocking the home for the first time, and there was cars loaded outside waiting to come into the house, and there was people in different groups about 50 feet apart waiting to see this house when it came on the market. Sounds like an auction, doesn't it? And if you price that like at the fair market value and it looks really good, you will get that kind of activity. And it's a bidding war ensues, and you will get the highest comp ever in this marketplace. So stop overpricing. That's my story. Orange County demand year over year. You know what? This is where we're at right now. It's the last 30 days worth of pending sales. October 15th, 3,153. That was 2 weeks ago. We went down 3% in 2 weeks. Last year, we were at 2251. We were down 29% from where we are today. Today, we're at 3,090. We're down 2%. So you can see we're coming down a little bit. But that's not that big of a deal because that's what we normally do at the end of the year. If I draw a line across, there's only some spring times that even hit how hot it is right now in the marketplace, and we're in October. We've never ever experienced an October like this before since 2009. 2009 was one of those years where we had the first time homebuyer tax credit. I don't know if you even remember those days. We had a couple of them. That was one of them in 2009. It created a lot of buyer demand, and they gave like $10,000 to first-time home buyers, right, to purchase. Orange County demand, this is where we typically peak. And instead, we were in the midst of a pandemic between the middle of April to the middle of May. And then after that, we start to slow down as kids graduate from college and high school and all that stuff. Instead, we moved our spring that way, and we did not peak until September, at the beginning of September. And where are we going to go for the rest of the year? We're going to go down a little bit. And then once we hit the second week of Thanksgiving, then we'll go down further. But I see the trajectory. The trajectory is similar to other years. But if you see where my line is, it's higher than last year and the year before that and ever. So basically, we're going to have a lot of activity in the month of December, one of our slowest months. And because we're going to have more activity, your plans for Christmas and Hanukkah and everything else are canceled. You're going to be busy. Jacob's going to like it because you guys are going to all be busy, but Jacob's going to be busy fielding questions for disgruntled buyers and sellers like he normally does. This market's moving way too fast. Well, how come I don't have an offer? Year over year demand. You can see across the board, demand is great everywhere in Southern California, across the United States. And normally we hit fall, demand drops, supply drops. Guess what? We're doing that for the first time. This is the first time we've ever done it in Orange County. So, and we're well into fall. We're about to hit the holidays in like 2 weeks. So we're gonna have this tiny little autumn market, and then we're gonna have a holiday market right after that. So people are going, what's going on, Steve? And these seasons are all warped. Well, you know, normally we have spring, summer, autumn, winter, spring best, summer second best, autumn third, then winter, holidays. And yeah, this is the year called 2020. Everything got all messed up in 2020, right? So we don't follow normal seasons. We'll hit the holidays, and then we'll finally hit the holiday season, although it will be elevated activity. Speaking of elevated activity, what is the speed of the market? How fast are we going? We're going fast. We're going like 130 miles per hour up the 5 freeway. Very dangerous and too high of a speed for my liking. And what does that mean? That means that the expected market time is really, really, really low. When it's below 30 days, that means it is extremely, extremely hot. And the expected market time for all of Orange County, if it's less than 60 days, it's a hot seller's market, and that's where we're at. Lowest level since 2013 is where we are currently at, and it is the lowest October too since then. So Orange County expected market time year over year. Check this out. This is where we're at. October 15th, we're at a 40-day market. It was up 2 days in a 2-week period. And then last year we were 85 days at the same time. And then today we're at 38 days. So what did it do? It went down to. That's the expected market time is actually getting hotter. So this is 60-day market right here. That's our 60-day market. That's where it's hot. Where are we going for the rest of the year? Up slightly, and then up a little bit more at the end of the year. Remaining below 60 days, hot sellers market. We're going to be going up in value for the rest of the year. And this is the expected market time across the fruited plain. Laguna Hills is at a 36-day expected market time. Last year was at 66. Aliso Viejo is at 23-day expected market time. That's blistering hot. Last year was at 48. Laguna Niguel is at 36-day expected market time. Last year was at 87. Mission Viejo is at 22 days. Last year was at 62. Ladera Ranch is at 26 days. Last year was at 82. Lake Forest is at 25 days. Last year was at 41. San Juan's at 56 days. Last year was 183. And San Clemente's at 41 days. Last year at 152. You get the story? It is hot. And you know what's going to happen this coming up spring? This is October. You know what's going to happen in spring? I'm going to read you certain market times like in Aliso Viejo that are going to say like 9. It's going to blow your mind. And then you watch to see what happens. You're going to have sellers that are going to say, I could have got an extra $25,000. And they just got an extra $25,000 above the last comp. So that's the world that we're going to go into during the springtime. That's what I imagine it. So that's what happened in 2013. We have the strongest demand for an October and the lowest supply for active listings for October. You know what? You know what that means? It's hot. And what do I compare it to? Cabbage Patch dolls. I'm old enough to remember my dad in 1983 took me in the car because I knew about St. Nick's. So I went in the car with my dad and we went to the local Gymco to get my sister a Cabbage Patch doll because that's what she wanted. And we heard that there was a truck. My dad heard there was a shipment coming. So we got there and he got a Cabbage Patch doll. They sold out in like 15 minutes. He got out in the parking lot and was offered $150 for the same Cabbage Patch doll. It's called supply and demand. They couldn't make them fast enough. The supply was really low. Demand was really high. Prices go up. Home values is the same thing. Very, very low supply of active inventory and demand is really high. So buyers, yes, you're screaming your bloody head off. You're going, what is going on? You know what? Should I wait for later? No, you should not. We're hitting historical low mortgage rates. I mean, who thought we would have interest rates in the 2s? You'll be kicking yourself if you don't purchase right now. It just doesn't make any sense. If you look at 2 years ago, right around now, we were almost at 5% interest rates. We hit 5% in November of 2018. A $700,000 mortgage versus 5% versus 2.8% is a savings of $882 per month every single month. That's over a 10 grand per year savings. And if you look at prior to the Great Recession, that had a 6.35% interest rate. And that was a low interest rate comparatively in time. My first interest rate was at 9% in the mid 90s. So you can see how they've done better. And look at that. $700,000 is a savings of $1,480 per month, almost $1,500 and almost $18,000 per year. That's a lot of money. So stop comparing it to the Great Recession. All these people are thinking the Great Recession is going to happen. The Great Recession is going to happen. No, it is not. It's not. We have a low mortgage rate environment that's feeling it, this market. So low mortgage rates, you can see if you put 20% down and you want a $3,000 per month principal plus interest, guess what? You were purchasing a $700,000 property at 5% interest rates. Well, at 2.8%, it's at $912,500. That's the house you're looking at. You're looking at over a $200,000 spread in a home that you're able to purchase by the interest rate dropping from 5% all the way down to 2.8%. That was just 2 years ago to now today. And if you waited to today, yes, you do look smart. Now purchase, cash in those chips, go find something. The median sales price for Orange County, the height prior to the Great Recession was at 775 for detached. This is through CAR. In September of 2020, it hit 915,000. It's up 18% from June of 2007. So it is higher. I'm gonna tell you that. But so are median incomes, and so is the low mortgage rate environment. Affordability prior to the Great Recession was at about 10%. It is in the 20s. It's like 24% for Orange County. So there's still plenty of room for the median sales price home. And I don't really care. There's a lot of people that they might not make the income for it, but they can sell their home and they have so much equity, they can put it into a new house as a big down payment, and they can purchase. They can even afford that median sales price home. So a lot of buyers still are sitting on the fence saying, I'm going to wait out. I'm going to sit on this fence. I'm going to wait for a second because I'm so smart. I think the election is going to affect the market. No, it's not. I've actually done research since 2004. It is not going to affect the marketplace. I'm here to tell you the following. I've already showed you interest rates rule the day. They do, absolutely. So regardless of what you think is going to happen, it's not the election. Regardless of which political persuasion wins this election, we're going to have a hot seller's market in next year, and values are going to go up, and you're going to be very busy. Period. As far as certain, I've tried to map out with a panel that I was on where we could possibly go down the road, and it looks good for real estate. Just it looks good for real estate. Period. And as far as foreclosures, that wave of foreclosures, sorry, that's not happening. Distressed this is where we were. You're in Orange County. I only have this going back to 2012 for the rest of Southern California, but for you guys, we were at 6,000 homes distressed versus where we are today, which is basically nothing. Nothing. We have less than 20 short sales and foreclosures on the market today in all of Orange County. We had 6,000 back in 2008. So do you think we're going to have 6,000 distress homes anytime soon? Yeah, I know people bring up this national delinquency rate. Drives me nuts. So go ahead, bring it up. They're 6.88%. It's actually lower than that right now because there's a lot of people coming out of forbearance, but still bring it up. I don't care because in this is embedded forbearance. And I already told you there's only 3 million people that are in forbearance now. There was 4.3 million before. And this is from Black Knight. They did a study, and guess what? Out of everybody in forbearance, 90% have at least 10% equity. 77% have 20% equity. 90% have at least 10% equity, which means if they push came to shove and they have to sell, guess what? They can go ahead and grab into their equity and sell their house and pay you and everybody else. And they actually get a check at the end of the day. That's 90%. So that means only 10% is vulnerable. 10% of 3 million is 300,000. That's the vulnerable. And I'm going to tell you right now, not all 300,000 are going to be foreclosures across the United States. I'm going to call it, at best 150, so half, 150,000. 150,000 across the United States is nothing over the course of a couple of years. It'll take us a while to get through all that, and it's not going to be anything. So all those people that are hoping for it because they work with short sales or foreclosures, banks, those are the people that are hoping the most. Not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. And I know you're going, yeah, but it's a recession. Yeah, it's a pandemic, not a recession. And the numbers already are looking a lot better across the board for the overall economy. And you know what? Last recession, yes, that's the red. That was the Great Recession. We led that, and we were so bad, and we played bad, and we did awful things that we paid for it. Values dropped 20% across the United States. And in 1991, across the United States, they dropped 2%. They dropped more in California, but that was the savings and loan scandal. So when we lead it, yeah, that's when we go down. When we don't lead it, the other 3 recessions, values went up. They went up in the midst of this pandemic. They are going up right now. So that's another time, because why? We know if somebody, could have been ourselves, could have been a neighbor, family, friend, somebody got burned. And because there were so many people that got burned, including the industries, that we all applied our 50 plus SPF. So we all know how to do things. We weren't using our houses as piggy banks, and everybody had to qualify for a loan. It is way more secure. As a matter of fact, even people coming out of forbearance that don't have quite the income that they did before, they're working out modifications because they applied, they were such good borrowers, and they know that they're going to be made whole on the other side of this pandemic and the other side of this virus, that they are working with modifications. And because they're good people, good borrowers, they want to keep people in houses. Unemployment, that's I know that you're going to bring up that, say, but there's a lot of unemployed. I told you, these are the renters. That aqua colored is younger is who's being affected. So we're not going to get any kind of a Pacific Ocean wave like the Great Recession. It's not going to be a tsunami. It's going to be more like a boat wake or a little wave in the lake. You know, kind of tiny. And then people are going to go, that's what it is. Yeah. Right now it was placid prior to to this pandemic. And then now there's going to be little waves and they're going to say it's up 500%. Yeah. When you go from 1 to 10, yeah, you're up like 500%, but who cares? You're still, there's not that many. And I'll be able to show that in my house report going forward. And that's why another reason, because next year is when they'll start talking about those dumb things and I'll be able to dispel all those myths. And buyers, you're going to kick yourself if you don't purchase right now. Record low rates in the 2s. I don't remember any time anything's been in the 2s. So yeah. Sellers, stop licking your money. Stop going on the internet. Stop going to these engines and going to like 10 and finding the one with the highest value and then sitting in with Alicia Petrick and saying, I want this one. No, don't do that. Right, Laura? We don't want that to happen. So instead, they feel empowered to overprice their property. So we need to reel them in. And still, even the hottest range, 5 to 750 with 23-day expected market time, 15%. That's 111 people have been on the market for 60 days plus 2 months. If you're on the market between 5 and 750 and you've been on the market for over 60 days, you have a problem. Seriously, you need to look in the mirror. Stop being so greedy. Stop licking your money. Let's make this thing happen. So yes, you're waiting for somebody to call. If you're representing a buyer, call them and write an offer that's less than their asking price because they're overpriced. Those are the pool of people that you should be mining if you have a buyer between 5 and 750. The people that have been on the market for a while, and talk to them a little bit about price. Price adjustments, 10% of all of the MLS is right now reducing their price on a weekly basis. And that's true throughout Southern California. That's what we do right now because we're running out of runway for the rest of the year and people are getting a little antsy if they've been in the market for a little bit of time. And yes, there is a golden opportunity. It's like 2 weeks. That's because buyers all have these. And what do they do with these? They go ahead and they get notifications every time there's a price reduction. So if you, and every time a new home comes on, they really don't care about the price reductions as much as a new home. They're excited. They can't wait for a new property to come on the market. And as soon as one comes on, they're jumping all over that thing. They're calling everybody up. They're saying, I saw a new one come on the market even prior to you even seeing anything, because they all have these apps. And you want to know something? People pounce on that. In August of 2020, all closed sales, 76% of all closed sales had a sales to last price ratio, so sales to their list price ratio of 99.6%. If they had to reduce the price between 1 and 4%, now they get 97.8% sales to list price ratio. What happened? They threw away, flushed money down the drain because now they're dealing with fewer buyers that are excited about your property, and now there's no longer going to be a bidding war for your property. You were dumb. You wasted your time. And if you had to reduce it more than 5%, well, then you're really giving away the farm. So market overview, and then I'll get my actual forecast, the forecast. The market overview is this. The lower the price ranges, the hotter the market. Between 750 and a million or below a million is just dumb hot. Anything below 30 is just ridiculous pace. And 1 to 1.25 still hot. Look at this. Even 1.5 to 2 millions at 61-day expected market time. Holy cow. That's hot. So closed sales year over year. Let's see. September, 30% more than last year. August, 12% more than last year. Year over year for 2020, we're only down 4%. You know what that means? This is news that you didn't know was going to happen, but we're actually going to sell more homes in Orange County this year than 2019. I just have a little frog in my throat. It's not the Rona. Don't worry about it. We're still good. I wear my mask. I'm good. Luxury market, this is what it looks like. You can barely see how the white in this, because it's so sharp, it is going up at a parabolic spike. So if you squint, you can see it. And you know what? We are closing a record number of luxury closed sales above 1.25 million. It's just a record number. It's the highest level ever. And that's what's going on right now. And here's what it looks like in September. We were never above 500 prior to this year. And in September, we were at 629. It was up 76% year over year. In August, it was at 561, 54% up year over year. In July, it was 464, 12% up year over year. Those are awesome numbers. And October is going to be another record. It's going to look off the charts. It's going to look really dumb on this thing. And 2020 is an absolute record year. And demand, I'm looking at escrows above 1.25 million. It's up double from where it was last year. What does that mean? Busy in the luxury end. And this is why the median sales price is actually a little skewed. But the top 10% of all of Orange County is now $1,580,000. Because guess what that means? Coming in 2021, I have to change luxury. The new definition is 1.5 million plus in Orange County. So if you have a listing that's at 1,500,000, it's actually not really luxury, because the true luxury is 1,580,000. So you could say close, but no cigar. Sorry, you're not luxurious enough at $1,450,000. So let's forecast. Yes, it's really foggy. I always use this. I've used it for years. I just switch which direction it's going, right or left. This year it's left. I don't know. Anybody know? Is anybody certain? No, Miss Uncertainty has been on this for years. I was uncertain last year. I didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. Who knew there was going to be a pandemic? Who had pandemic, President of the United States, and Prime Minister of the United Kingdom getting the virus? Who? It sounds like some sort of a movie that you watch, right? I mean, seriously, no one had that. So that's a concern, uncertainty. We don't know if a UFO is going to come, right? We have no idea. Extraterrestrials, that could be the next thing, 2021. COVID-19, I don't know how it's all going to play out. So we still need to be mindful. It's a concern. It should be a concern of everybody's. You can pretend that it's not. It's a concern. It will be, because it's affecting people and their lives. Vaccine timeline, I don't know what this is going to look like either. It's all over the board. So that means they have no clue as to actually how this is going to go. So we'll know once we know. Washington, D.C., I've had this on my presentations for about as long as I've been in real estate. Because you know what? They're a concern of mine. They do things that are wacky and it can affect our real estate market. Let's say that they do something with capital gains or something like that. I don't know. That was on the chopping block before. Didn't you like that when we heard about that the last time that they were looking at everything? So I don't, they took away our tax deduction from 1 million down to 750. That was one thing that they did last time. So I don't know. DC does wacky things. Travel industry, I'm concerned about them. Jobs, that's related. I'm concerned about jobs and the stickiness of some of the job sectors that aren't coming back yet. Values rise too fast. Well, as long as we're not totally operating normal, we're going to have low interest rates, which is just going to fuel our values. I'm actually hoping for a little higher interest rates to slow things down a little bit, so we get a little bit more inventory that sticks a little bit, so that it's not going at such a rapid pace and we have appreciation. Because if it goes too long at too high of a value, then we start feeling a bubble. We're not there yet, though. Unrealistic sellers, overpricing, that's a concern. So my 2021 forecast is distress rises slightly, no wave. But you'll have to subscribe to my report so I can tell your knucklehead buyers why there will be no wave, even though it says 400% increase in in distress sales. Return of the unrealistic overpriced seller, I'm sorry, you're still going to have to talk them off of the cliff. Normal housing cycle with better activity than 2020. Normal seasons. I'm so excited. And the first half is just going to be rock solid. It is going to be just scorching hot. Record low start to the year. 3,000 homes will beat 2013 record at the beginning of that year. And it might even be in the twos. Oof. I never thought we'd be that low. And we're gonna beat 2013. Rise in active inventory, 5,500 to 6,500. That just hits the average from 2012 through 2019. And that's the average. That's just hitting the average, which means we'll be below average almost the entire year. Appreciation in 2021, up 4 to 6%. We are going to appreciate. I know CAR came out with 1.3% for the year, too low. And I've had some people say, why isn't yours higher, Stephen? Because I have to factor in all the uncertainty into my forecasts. That's why. And I'm a little bit more certain than CAR is at this point. Upper ranges thrive in spring and summer, then slow for the last third, probably about August on, actually. So it's the last 5 months will be a little bit slower. The first 7 months are going to be gangbusters. Continued increase in domino transactions, and closed sales are going to be up next year. So we're going to match 2019, and we're going to do more next year. So 4 to 8% more, because we're going to put everything that we can into escrow. So buyers will be motivated by low rates and they'll be willing to stretch a bit because there's not going to be a lot on the market at the beginning of the year. So we're going to see appreciation go up fast because of it. So that'll be the first 6 months. It's just not going to be enough homes. So interest rates between 2.75% and 3.5%. You're going, man, that's a big range. Well, yeah, we're going to start off really low. And then as we get things like the vaccine, and it starts to really, first it's FDA approval, then everybody's getting it. We're going to see the 10-year go up and interest rates go up. And then we're going to get another relief package. We'll see the 10-year go up and interest rates go up. And then we'll get a stimulus package down the road. We'll see interest rates go up and everything. And then once we get the economy more back online, we'll see higher interest rates. In the threes, that's not bad, right? Because I remember in the fours, man, remember when interest rates were in the threes? Now we're getting used to the twos. What's our problem?